What is up? Welcome back to the On The Burst podcast. I'm your coach, Brandon Savage, and I'm joined by my assistant coach, my front rower, Bigz. How are you, Bigz?
Buddy, I'm recovering from yesterday. I tell you what, the studio and the setup is looking much better, looking schmick. And look, I've brought something else to sort of add to the vibe of the studio, if you don't mind, mate.
Ooh.
Game worn Bigz jersey from the Sports Shed TV charity match. Now, this was supposed to go to another bloke, but he ended up pulling out. So I ended up having to fit into the size small. It's got the cut sleeves, the Bigz cut sleeves. Mate, I thought it'd be a real nice addition to the studio. What are your thoughts?
I really love it as an addition to... Does it smell like beer?
It smells like beer, it smells like BO, and it smells like hard work.
Also smells like victory. Obviously, we played in the Sports Shed TV charity match yesterday, and there's a big story behind this jersey, actually. So you started with the... originally, you're number 25.
Yep.
It was pretty tight fit for you.
Oh, it was.
But then Brad Takarangi comes along, and the jersey that we have available for him was a small size, and he was not a small dude. He's a very big-looking dude, and he was not having a bar of it. He was not going to fit in that. So Bigz had to sacrifice his jersey and put a small on, and it was that tight, you had to cut the sleeves.
I had to cut the sleeves. And I think I ended up ripping the shorts too by the end of the game. So it was all coming off me by the end. I was actually wearing Dan's shorts. Shout out to watching you in the castle.
Yeah.
Mate, I don't know how was supposed to fit in those things. Those were real tight. And I was pretty shy, to be honest, walking out there with the full legs exposed, the tan line exposed. But look, mate, we had a good rip and a tear, didn't we? Obviously getting another win, 3-peat for the Mark Hughes Foundation. And look, I'm keen to play next year as well. So should be a real fun one going into 2026 to get the 4-peat like the Penny Panthers, mate.
After one game, it makes you really think. It makes you really itching for another hit out. And like as soon as I was finished yesterday, I was like, who can I play footy for this year? Yeah. It was such a good day. It was such a good day. How's the whirlwind been for you? So this time last week, you were just confirmed to be in.
Yep.
We announced it on this podcast. You announced it on your Instagram the next day. Sports Shed didn't really announce it till I think it was probably a day later or something. What a whirlwind. And you've gone from not being in the side to being in a premiership winning and a Cast Patrol team of the side player.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Look, it was a real interesting few weeks. Just week in particular, the last 7 days has been absolutely insane. So a little bit before that, to give you guys a bit of backstory, I interviewed the Cast Patrol on my podcast to do season previews and things like that. And they were sort of questioning me before we started recording. They were like, oh, have you been picked for another team? I was like, nah, I haven't got picked from the Gurino, even though he's coached me for Wombat, shout out. But yeah, no, I said, no, I haven't been picked for anything yet. And they were like, you know what? We're going to make a spot for you. We've got a jersey 21. We want you to be our jersey 21. I was like, oh, sweet, perfect, can't wait. This is going to be mad. He goes, we'll ask the Sports Shed boys and we'll see what happens. Anyway, had Nilso on the Friday, and obviously there's a lot of talk about him being suspended. What news comes out, obviously, that he gets suspended a little bit later, and I got the call up into the side, took his spot. Brad Takarangi obviously was the new 21st man. But yeah, look, crazy. Like I didn't expect to play. I'd bought a ticket to come as a spectator as well. So
nice.
I was coming either way, but crazy stuff. And then to be at the day as well, to experience that whole few hours of the brekkie in the morning. It was great to meet everyone you don't usually see. But once you got out on the field, it was amazing.
You see it online. You see him online, but just seeing him in real life is so different. Dare I say, if you went, you probably would have got a run anyway, because we did have a late pull out quite late into the game. And if we knew you were in the crowd, I think we would have reached out. But regardless, how'd you see the game? Like, you played really well. You're nuck and truck and nut.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Look, it was a pretty decent game. Obviously, had a bit of a shady first run, just sort of trying to get into the game. Tested out the bit of the footwork as well for the upcoming season for myself, playing for Southeastern. So it was good to sort of test the legs there. But yeah, look, it was a good game. Once I had that first run, I was sort of into it. You had a good game by yourself, by the way. Obviously moved into the centres, and you were in the team of the day as well.
Yes, I was. I was quite happy with my game. I think my goal last year, I didn't really look for the ball. I kind of held my edge and just the ball didn't come to me. I could have held my edge regardless, and the ball would have come out to me a lot more because the NRL players, Blake Austin and Takarangi, got the ball out to us very quickly.
Yep.
And it was also very edge to edge a lot more than it has been in the past years. So I was very happy with how the game went.
Speaking to a few of the Goanna boys on the other team at the end of the game, some of the bigger boys, and they were like, fuck. Blake Austin, he was so annoying. He just kept moving the ball from side to side.
Yeah.
We had to keep moving.
Yeah.
We were all gassed. And I was like, oh, God. How do you think we felt as the front rowers fucking having to do the same thing, moving from side to side? But it was good. It was good to have those boys there playing with those guys. And then to meet Pearcey and Todd Carney and Takarangi and Austin in the sheds, like, those are the experiences you'll never get. Like, as just an all fan of the game. But to actually play with those guys, like, for me to tackle Todd Carney and Mitch Pearce was amazing. So, you'll never get those experiences. You only get those experiences once, and it was good to have that on the day.
It was such a good game. I'm so excited for next year. Hopefully, 1, it does go ahead, and hopefully 2, I get picked again. I think every year it's a bit nerve-wracking just seeing whether you get picked or not. So I think now that you've had a good head out, you've cemented your side in a winning culture.
Yep.
So hopefully next year we both get a role in the starting side again.
I sort of put it on the Instagram as well. It's 5 comps now for Big Les. We've got 3 for Marcelin, had 1 for the Coogee Wombats, and now 1 for Sportshed as well. So hopefully adding to the premiership tally, maybe 2 times, 1 for Southeast and 1 for Sportshed in 2026.
I do have a question. Mark Hughes Foundation or the Penrith Panthers?
Oh, it's a tough one, mate. It's a tough one. 2 quality sides. Probably Mark Hughes, to be honest. We've got a good crew. We got all these stars in the Penrith Panthers side. You got your Clearys, your Luais, your Edwardses, your Yos. We're just a bunch of battlers.
Yeah.
Right? We're just a bunch of hard battlers. We go out there, we put in 110%, and you just never know the outcome. Like it was right to the death for us as well in that game, just like Panthers in Brisbane, and we knocked it out. So, look, Mark Hughes Foundation all day, mate.
And Blake Austin. Blake Austin versus Nathan Cleary, I think it's pretty clear. Early in the game, Blake Austin, 20-6, went for a field goal, 20 metres out. Clarkey said in commentary, I don't know why he's going for a field goal to put them 15 in front. The end of the game, it would have come in handy because it went into overtime. And we won the game, but wouldn't have had to go into overtime if he slotted that. So maybe he's just forward-thinking genius.
Mate, he is 100%. He was actually wanted to go for it in the first set.
Yeah, he did.
And he was saying it at kickoff. He goes, boys, if we get further in, I'm going for it. I'm fucking going for it. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, mate, 100%. Let's do it. Funnily enough, too, he played in the hat the whole game.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
That was hectic. I'm surprised it stayed on with all the amount of times he was running the ball. It's hectic.
Any standouts before we move on to the real footy?
100%. So, definitely a few standouts in that game. Big Joe K was outstanding for us on the edge and in the middle.
I watched the game back, and I think he made about 3 or 4 line break assists.
Yeah.
Like he was so crucial, and just his soft hands with the combination with Blake Austin, like he was immense.
Yeah, him talking para podcast in the centres as well. I thought he had a real crack out there too. I'm yet to watch the game back. This is just sort of my experience from on the field. I know that you've watched the game back though. I do want to give one shout out before we obviously go to a few of your standouts, mate. Hectic Fred, super unlucky to obviously get injured again throughout this game. But, mate, the 10 to 15 minutes that he was on the field, he was outstanding. He had some real good runs, really solid defensively. Shout out to him. He's obviously gone for scans today, I think, on that knee. So just want to wish him all the best with that. And, look, he'll be back better next year as well. He was talking all up for that first bit of the game about his footwork. I didn't believe him until he got onto the field, and then he really showed us what he had. So shout out to you, Fred. Hope you obviously go well in the scans, and wishing you all the best, brother.
Yeah, I agree. Hectic Fred, he's such a good guy. He was so devastated that he got injured during the game. He was so excited. Coming back from an ACL was the first little bit of footy he was able to play, and he was so pumped, ready for the boys. And he said to us, even if he gets the worst outcome, it was worth it because he got to play for 10, 15 minutes and give a crack for the boys, be part of a winning culture.
100%. Great character, brah. Look, wish you all the best, and hopefully, it's not as bad as it seems. But even if it is, you're going to be back bigger and better next year, brother.
Other shout-outs, TK.
Yep.
Amazing once again. Borat, player of the match. What a weapon.
So good.
I think he was very good on the edge. I think Rando and him shifted, he shifted between fullback and Rando shifted in and out of the halves when Austin was on and off.
It was funny. There was a bit of drama in the sheds pre-game about the positions and that as well, because Tux obviously wanted to start and he wanted to play 5'8", and obviously that's not what we had named, so had to shift Rando out the back there to fullback, and but Bora did an outstanding job on the sting there.
I think he did very good on the wing. I don't think we missed anything by swapping that, and his running game was still an immense part of it. And I think in past charity matches, it would have been a wasted talent on the wing, but I think it was used perfectly.
Shout out to Rando as well. He had a fair crack. I'm pretty sure it's his last game for the next year as well. He's not playing again like normal clubland wise. We were sort of chatting after the game.
Yeah.
So he's technically retired now from club footy. So I don't think he's going to play again till the next charity match, but he certainly played very well in this one.
He did. And once again, shout out to Whisperer. I thought he had a bit of a crack.
Yeah.
Also, there was another one from the other side. Adrian, he scored 2 tries and he scored the try to put them in front towards the end. It was a kick from Strats. And yeah, he played really well too.
Shout out to all those boys,
yeah,
bro.
Jesus
they put on
Christ.
such a great day. It was outstanding. The food trucks, everything that those boys have put on, everything they got organised, getting Kennedy Cherrington out to the game. Greg Inglis was there.
Yeah.
He was in the other boys' sheds shaking everyone's hands and stuff. The footy players that played with us on that day, getting taxed last minute into this game as well. They put in so much work. It was funny. Just before we get into the real footy as well, I know we're dragging this out a little bit, but
you got to bath in the glory.
100%. But I was chatting to Rube before the game, the opposition coach, and he was sort of talking about obviously getting to the game and stuff like that. He had to park out the back, and he came through this back gate. Anyway, one of the sports shed boys came up and he was like, "Are you fucking serious? You come through the back gate?" Obviously everyone's supposed to come through that gated long bridge section and get your name ticked off. But there were people coming through, parking out the back where the food trucks were, and there was a little opening in one of the gates where everyone was sneaking in through there and pocketing tickets. So they had to shut that off very quickly. But that was all time.
Yeah, that was very funny. I saw that as well. And then it's funny, Kat, the assistant coach, did exactly the same thing and parked right next to him. Pretty funny stuff there. And shout out to the after game champions. Had a bit of a rip with Flaxy, Clarkey, Danny and Blake from Blake and Danny on TikTok. There were Flaxy, Blake, Fred. Darlow was there for quite a bit. There was another guy, NRL Fanatic on TikTok.
Yep.
I always see his stuff on TikTok. He's a young lad, but he was just none of us have really met him. He's never met us, and he was just loving being around
I've
the
only
footy
met
lads.
Flaxy the once, and I've obviously spoken to him on the phone when we were here last week.
Yeah.
But fuck, he has a rip and a tear, Flaxy.
He loves it. He loves it. And everyone had a rip and a tear. Me, Clarkey, and Blake were absolutely sinking the drinks and went on the field at 1 a.m. In the morning. So I'm living off 4 hours sleep, but it's okay. We're very happy, and we're very happy to be here. The trials on the weekend. Yesterday, we obviously missed quite a bunch of it.
Yep.
But how did you see it? I think my standout for the weekend was the Parramatta-Newcastle game. I thought that was very crucial in just seeing how teams are going to be seen for this year.
Mate, plenty of scorelines this weekend. Some absolute smashings. I think my standout, that was the All-Stars game. That was unbelievable. Went to go watch that with Tom Yeager and Will Dirks. Shout out to Will. Obviously, Chess with Dirks on Instagram, so make sure you go give him a follow. He's killing it. We went out for a few drinks. We were having Coke Zeros all night because none of us were drinking at that stage. But it was great. That game was outstanding. And I was sort of talking to people in the comment section of Rue's post after the game, but I reckon having it at night, it just adds to the spectacle so much. All the past 2 years, there's been day games at rural stadiums, and it's just been really average.
Yeah.
To get it back at that stadium at night time, just the team that was picked, all of the stars that came into play, I thought it was outstanding. Both teams were really, really solid.
I think Combank's a very good stadium for that sort of stuff. Obviously, the Pacific Championship final was at that venue, and I think that was a real standout performance. The All-Stars did very well there, and I think it's just because it's like a big stadium but a small capacity. So I think that makes it. The ground is very important, I reckon.
Have you been to Magic Round before?
I have. I went last year.
So I was talking to the Talking Power podcast boys, and they were saying that they reckon that Combank's better than Suncorp. I've never been to Suncorp, so I don't know. But I've heard the best things about Suncorp.
I mean, the stadium by itself,
Yeah.
I'd probably say potentially, but like Magic Round Suncorp can hold 80,000 people. You've got 80,000 people there in a weekend, whereas CommBank is, 30, 40,000.
You're right.
But what's around Parramatta just doesn't compare to what's at Suncorp, because you've got the Caxton, you've got the main street where you've got all the pubs, and then at the end of the night, you got the strip club.
Are you heading up this year for Magic Round?
I am, yeah.
Mate, I should be there for sure.
Booked it as soon as it happened because I went last year, and it's just the best experience.
Yeah.
And I think if you're just a rugby league fan, you've got to go.
Yeah, 100%.
Any like standout players from the weekend? I think I like the look of Dylan Brown over the weekend. Kyle Flanagan yesterday was a real standout. Fletcher Sharp at number 6. Volkman, Jesus Christ, Volkman. Parramatta have landed a good one, haven't they?
So good. And I think the good thing about Volky is as well, like, you look at Parramatta, obviously last year, Moses went down and Brown had to step into the halfback jersey. And it was it was pretty concerning. Like, Brown's obviously not a 7. I don't think he can be a 7 at this stage of his career. You got Volkman there who plays a very similar game to Moses with the running game, with just the flashy plays, the low percentage plays, stuff like that. I think, like, if Moses was to go down, I don't think it'd be as much panic stations for Parramatta, as it was last year, because Volkman he just steps in so well. And I think that with all of the injuries and everything that was happening with him over the past 2 years, you sort of don't expect much of him, but he came out and fucking killed him. Just reminded everyone of how good he actually is.
Yeah, 100%. And they signed really well. They signed Dean Hawkins as well.
Yeah.
So, if Dylan Brown goes down, I feel like Volkman can go straight into that number 6, even if he had to.
Yeah.
I feel like he can go 6 and 7. So, if Dylan Brown's injured for an extended period and Moses goes out to Origin, they've got backup in both positions.
I mean, I rate Hawkins, and I think it's great to have backup for both as well. But I think that, like, when you're looking about, you're trying to want to replace like for like, and you want to have a similar sort of game plan as to what Para will play, I think Hawkins is too structured for what they actually play, the play style of Parramatta, which is going to be fast, especially with these running guys like Yongi and who, by the way, another standout of the weekend as well.
I was just about to say Yongi and Papali'i. Which one was a standout for you? They were both pretty good.
They were both unbelievable, and it's going to be a tough choice for Ralsei to pick between those two. I honestly I think that it has to be Yongi because obviously he was the first one signed, but it's going to be a headache if they're both playing really good football for respective sides.
I think we saw Yongi with a nice cutout ball.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he has that ball playing and we know he's a meter eater as well, I think I'd give him the first crack just because it obviously means he doesn't have to work on as much as his game, whereas Papali'i's running game was brilliant. Didn't see much ball playing from him, but still very early days, and I think both are just going to be potential superstars.
100%. Mate, one more standout from the weekend, Ali Liatua.
Oh, what a weapon.
Bro, he is a huge reason as to why they were up by 30 at halftime. He was massive. His ball playing left to right. For a centre, he can play both sides of the field, so whether it's Rocco Berry that comes back in after injury or, whoever they want to put in the centres there, it's going to be a real headache because, you've got to have him in there now. He's a gun.
He just reminds me of Pete Conrad Hurrell.
Yeah.
Conrad Hurrell, Katoni Staggs at what we know he can be at his barnstorming best. So,
but those guys for sure. But the ball playing just adds another layer to that as well.
100%.
So he's going to be a freak for them. And Cassius Tia as well for the Dogs. He was a gun. He came on at fullback.
I did not catch that. I was at the Leagues Club by then.
Well, that's all right, mate.
Deep in a bunch of alcohol. I didn't catch up on the games today, but obviously you did.
Yeah. Look, I shout out to KO Mini and the extended highlights, but he's a gun. His movements, some of the balls that were thrown as well. He is just a gun.
What's he?
So he's a fullback. He's been around for a while. Obviously, I think has tried over the past few years, but he carved up. He was really, really good. Just his ball movements, the way that he sort of contorts his body in the line. He could sort of get real deep into the line and then really, change angle and get the pass away still as well. I think that was one of the tries. That might have been him or one of the other fullbacks that came on, but he's a weapon. He's going to be definitely a name to keep an eye on there. Cassius Tia. And Big D Larcell, my mate too. Shout out to him. Had to play on the edge last minute too. He killed it.
Nice. Kitia Katonga.
Kitioni Kautoga?
Kitioni Katonga, the guy, the Parramatta guy from the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
He was a massive standout for me as well.
Yeah.
I was just going to move on from that game, but I was very impressed from a lot of players from the Parramatta Eels.
Yeah.
So today we're going to preview the Broncos, the Warriors, the Titans, Manly Sea Eagles, Dragons, and the Penrith Panthers. It's a big preview today, and we've done a big intro already. So let's get straight into it. We'll start with the Broncos. And my first question for the Broncos, where do you think they land, and what impact do you think Madge has on the side?
It's a great question, because like with the Broncos, it can be hot and cold. It really depends on how they come into the year. Big performance in the trials. Obviously beat the Titans, put 50 points on them, so it's never good for any side to get 50 points put on them, and the Titans are concerning. We'll talk about them a little bit later, but Broncos, I think the big standout is that they're fit. They're really fit coming into the year. Obviously, this back row headache is going to be interesting with Brendan Piakura as to if he does get the spot or if Gojewski gets it. But they look very fit. They're moving very well. Some of those young guys are really standing out too. So I think that it is going to be really interesting to see when they have the full side back what they can actually do too. So super keen to see the Broncos. I think that under Madge Maguire, the fact that they're all fit, ready to go. Looking at Reece Walsh from the start of the preseason to now, he looks like he's dropped a few kilos, but just kept a lot of that muscle. So I'm very excited for them. As to where they land, it's tough. I think like the ladder that I had before this episode, going into the season previews from the past few weeks, I had them out of the 8.
Yep.
But I think that they will probably be 8th.
Yeah, I think they're going to do a bit better than that. I think their roster's a lot better. And I think in seasons past, like I wasn't really hot on them in 2023, but they just kept winning. They kept blowing out teams. But last year, it was obviously a lot of people tipping them to come first because they were going to, a year on from a premiership, nearly winning side. But this year, they've kind of fixed up some holes that they needed fixed. Ben Hunt comes in and really plugs a hole in a spot that, Adam Reynolds is out, he goes straight into half. They've got 5'8" cover for when Ezra Mam is out. They've got hooker, a brilliant hooker when Ezra Mam is back and Ben Hunt is back. But the thing is, if one of these hookers like Corey Pakes or Blake Moser kick on, does Ben Hunt stay in the side as a half when Ezra Mam comes back?
I think that you're going to look at Ben Hunt as a hooker. I think that that's where he's going to play. I think that temporarily, if Renault goes down, which it sounds like he is going to be for the start of the year, and I think that then you'd look at him more as a half. But in this case, like once Renault's back, once Mam's back, I think that he's a hooker in this team. But that's going to be really interesting too because Madge is very high on Corey Pakes. Everyone's very high on Blake Moser. I think Billy Walters is going to be very unlucky. Tyson Smoothie's already signed with the Super League for next year. Wants to go now. So that's going to be really interesting how they manage that. But I think that you'd have to look at Ben Hunt as a hooker. And I think that Ben Hunt can be one of the better hookers in the comp. Too.
Oh, he is one of the better hookers in the comp.
I reckon he can be for sure. So I think that that's where you sort of put him. So the reason that I've only got them 8th and not higher is because I think that transition period when they go back to a Renault and Mam combo, I think that's going to just take a little bit, that transition, because the time frames of when both of those guys get back is going to be interesting.
Yep.
Renault will probably only just get used to Hunt and then Mam's going to come back. So that transition is going to be really weird and they might lose a few games in that stretch. But it's gonna be interesting. Plus, Jock Madden comes in there. I don't rate him as a 6. I think he's more of a 7. So they're gonna conflict with Hunt a little bit when they're in the halves together. But
I have seen reports that Billy Walters is actually training in the halves. So
he did play on 6 of the weekend, eh?
Yeah, will he come in like Hunt and Walters to start the year potentially?
Do you reckon? Well, counter question for you, mate. Do you reckon that they're looking at since they've got so many hookers and that's going to be a headache? Do you reckon they're just looking at Billy Walters as a half now? They just said, I think probably a backup half now.
I think they have to because last year when Jock Madden filled in the side, he did okay, but they really didn't do what they needed him to do. And Billy Walters was playing hooker. He's playing very well, but I think he can be just as impactful in the halves than he can at hooker.
I think defensively too, like Walters is very hot and cold defensively. I just feel like last year was probably the only thing that let him down a bit, and that's probably why a few Broncos fans are a bit off him too, because I noticed that there was a lot of chat about getting Moser straight in. So I think that defensively, it's probably let him down a little bit when we're looking at this depth and who we're going to put in. Plus, the way, as you said, how Moser ended the season last year, really good footy, played decent minutes. Plus, he was promised at this stage of his contract to have a starting spot. So the way that they're going to manage that, all of these hookers, what's going to happen with Corey Pakes, because I'm sure that he, like at this stage of his career, he's not happy with being a depth guy.
Yeah.
He'd probably want a contract somewhere. Yeah, that's going to be real interesting.
Yeah, they've got a few hookers at the club, and I feel like they need to just start to make a decision because obviously these guys aren't just going to stay there. Like Pakes probably can play first grade at least on the bench somewhere.
Yeah. Don't trust me, mate. Pakes is a first grader.
Yeah.
He's a first grader. He's a start. He'd be a starting nine at some of those lowest clubs. So
yep.
I think that that's going to be super interesting because that's going to be a real headache, especially since Madge, like there was all this talk for about a year that Pakes was gone. He was going to go to Canberra. And then, Madge goes, nah, I want you here. I'm going to keep you here. And then if there's a point in at some stage in the year that they go, nah, sorry, mate, look, there's not room. You're not going to be playing in the 17. It's just going to frustrate him. He's going to go out straight away. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that's managed.
Depth in the back row. I think that was an issue for me last year. It's still an issue for me this year. Piakura and Jordan Riki, they're obviously not... They shouldn't be locked into edge back row spots, and we've already seen from early reports that Jack Gizewski is going to take that left edge spot for Brendan Piakura. Whether that's a kick up the arse or something like that, it's still yet to be seen, but I still think the depth is a bit worrying.
It is. They're very light there. That's going to be really interesting as well to see how that's managed. Like they threw Jaden Hunt in there last year, and he's not a back rower. He's a middle. He's an out-and-out middle, and he looks really uncomfortable on the edge. So I don't think you can really play around with that again. I know that he looks decent to coaches. I don't know what it is. He must look good on the edge of training, but on game day, he looks really uncomfortable. So I'd probably go away from that experiment and, if you're looking at getting rid of one of these younger guys, potentially to get a back rower in the building, I think that's probably a sacrifice you're going to have to make. Didn't they not announce that they were releasing Jock Madden like a few weeks ago when the whole Ben Hunt saga with the cap for the Broncos and everything was happening? That they were going to release Jock Madden to ease the cap and get Ben Hunt in? Was that not a thing?
I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Did I just completely miss it, or
I don't know. It seemed to be reported.
I don't think it happened. It didn't happen.
Mustn't happened. They must have just got approved. But it might have been a thing. Maybe if it didn't, that they were going to have to get rid of someone. But anyway, it's not happening. Don't take with that what you will.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I think regardless, they're probably going to have to look at getting rid of one of those younger guys to get a back rower into the building and get some depth there because that is concerning.
Well, especially considering they got 3 or 4 hookers as well. Like, get rid of one of them, maybe even 2 of them. To be honest, like I think they've got enough coverage there. Whether Ben Hunt might not last long there. Adam Reynolds, how long's he got? So I think they're in a weird period where they're kind of in a premiership window, but they're kind of not. So they really need to go well this year.
They're fit enough to win a comp, and they've got enough stars to win a comp. But there's these little intricacies of the back row depth, the hookers and the management there. And then obviously the byproduct and the domino effect of that of, if there's players that are unhappy because they're not getting spots due to the depth of the back rowers or due to obviously the nines, the amount of nines that they've got there and the other nines not getting a crack. The byproduct of that of, players not getting spot, player unrest, players talking to other players and how that sort of happens under Madge as well. I think that's going to have a huge impact on their season. And it's something that's not really talked about, but, I think that it will be something that, might hinder or, push their success or hinder it.
I do like their middle depth as well. Ben Tukura, he looks a good player. And I think Xavier Willison's a very good player as well. Obviously, with Corey Jensen, Payne Haas and Pat Carrigan, whether Pat Carrigan plays front row or lock, it doesn't bother me. I think he does a great job either way.
Willison's good, eh? He's just consistency for him.
Yeah. I love Willison. I think he's very similar to Tino, kind of. They're very similar. He's probably a bit more explosive.
Looks fit.
Yeah.
Wilson looks really fit. He looks like he's had a real change of heart under Madge. So he'll definitely be a watch this year. Whether he gets a starting spot or not, I'm not too sure, depending on this Paddock Carrigan and Kobe Hetherington situation.
I do like him off the bench. I do think when the Broncos kind of tend to lose momentum off the bench when they brought players like Kobe Hetherington on. So If they're bringing Jensen and Willison on, I think that's a pretty good
Can I
rotation.
throw you under the bus a little bit? What's your bench looking like?
For me, I reckon their best side is Haas starting.
Yep.
I think Carrigan lock. I don't think it makes a difference. I think him at 13 as a leader just makes sense for me. I get the front row chat. Probably would just put Kobe Hetherington at number 8 and just play whatever role they need to do. Maybe if you want Carrigan to tuck the ball under just a little bit more, then let him do that.
Yeah.
And I think, Jensen coming off the bench with Willison, Takura, and they don't really have like a edge back rower / centre.
Do you reckon Hetherington could, if they don't play him through the middle, do you reckon that he could migrate onto an edge, or he's just probably out and out middle?
It could be a defensive edge potentially.
Because he's a gun defender, eh?
Yeah.
He's a gun defender, and sometimes you just want a guy, and especially Madge, that's his type of player. He just wants someone that can do a job, and it's probably why he wants him at 13, to be honest, because he just defends so well through the middle, and he takes a lot of pressure off Carrigan and Haas to save their energy for attack. So I don't know. I could see Hetherington on the edge. He played there last year, so
How about Willison?
I'd probably rather Takura
Yeah.
over Willison on an edge, like a Nelson. And Nelson was playing on the edge for
Yeah.
Melbourne, and he was just running hard lines.
Didn't quite work out long term though.
Nah, but I reckon, as I said,
He could be the filling guy.
Madge just wants someone that can do a job,
Yeah.
sort of thing. Even if you just rotate that position amongst a few guys, like if you have a Gajewski or a Takura on the bench or something, with a Piakora starting, I reckon it could work out well.
Yeah, 100%. I see them finishing 4th to 5th. You think 8th?
I think 8th is probably the spot that they finish, yeah.
All right. Moving on to the Warriors. My main concern for the Warriors, I think they missed the 8. And to be honest, I think bottom 4.
I agree. I think that they will be an interesting side to watch this year. I think that it's actually hard to get a read on the Wars because, you watch their trial form and a few of the younger guys that they've got, like Ali Leatua, who we spoke about before, he's outstanding. Metcalf looks like he's pretty much cemented that halfback spot. Like we spoke about him a few weeks back, and I was very high on him, the fact that he is a 7 at that side. So I think that he has really impressed me. How they go about this 5'8" jersey is going to be interesting. But even Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, holy fuck.
Yeah.
On the wing there.
He's a wing.
Destructive.
He's a winger, isn't he?
Yep.
He's 100% a winger. I don't like him at fullback because obviously we saw Tulpiki on the weekend. I think he's just created another headache because the week before, Nickel Clockstad came out and shut everyone's mouth out about this RTS at fullback chat, and then Tulpiki comes out this week. Well, what do you do there?
Do you put Tulpiki on the wing?
I'd put him at fullback. I'd put Chans in the centres.
Yeah.
Leotawa at the other centre. Dallin's out for a bit. So, I think Rocco Berry's very good defensively, though.
But this is the thing. So you talk about defence. I think that Chans' coverage at the back, some of the tries that he stops out, especially last year, you'd miss a lot of that. Tulpiki is outstanding at fullback defensively and attacking-wise. But I think that Chans, those little defensive plays where he comes in and he stops tries, even in the All-Stars game at 6, he was doing some crazy things and stopping a few tries there as well. So I think that you've got to have Chans at fullback. I think that Tulpiki, if he comes in, it'll either be in jersey 17 for me or it will be on the wing.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. I just love the balance of Tulpiki at number 1. Reminds me of Keanu Keeney coming into the Titans, where the Titans, it was either Jaden Campbell, who's the explosive guy, or Brimson, who's the tried and tested guy. Yeah. But Keeney comes in and just played this really high energy, tight footy and really lifts the side when he off the back of his first run. And I think very similar. Tulpiki can do a very similar job, and I think it feels like a bit of a changing of the guard at the moment for the Warriors.
If this happened 2 years ago, if this was Chans 2 years ago, I'd be more than happy to put Chans in the centres. Yeah. But I think Chans has just improved out of sight, in the past 2 years.
Yeah, he's
not only with the defensive coverage, but just his ball playing as well.
Yeah, he's very good at fullback, isn't he?
He's improved with his attacking sets, being in the right spots. He's really worked on his game since leaving Canberra, and I think that he's pretty much locked himself into fullback. It's just the guys around him for me. It might be a big call with how good Tulpiki is, but I love Chance at fullback. Just defensive coverage. You know what you're going to get. It's Mr. Consistent. Matt can make a big play for you, but his ball playing has improved so much where it's just like I can't move him unless he has a shocker to start the year and he's playing out of his skin, whether that be on the wing or in cup. I can't move him.
How crazy is it that a couple of years ago, like we're saying RTS shouldn't play fullback because Chance is a better ball player. A couple of years ago, Chance was not known at all for his ball playing.
No.
Like he could not ball play at all.
No, he was very run centric in attack.
It was
he's like we talk about attacking shapes. Like that wasn't really existent for him. He was sort of finding himself in different places.
Yeah,
Whiten was demanding a lot of the ball, and he just couldn't really find his feet. Whereas you look at him now, he demands the ball in those moments. He knows his spots very well. His ball playing is outstanding, so the boys know that he can do a job on those arrow sets. I like Chance at fullback. I think that you got to keep him there.
The halves, do you think Tanner Boyd needs to come in at all? I do love Luke Metcalf at number 7, and I want him to be the number 7, but I also find the number 6 in Tamari Martin a bit of a worry. I just find him a bit inconsistent at number 6. He was good at number 7, but I don't think his kicking game's good enough. Does Tanner Boyd bring a lot more to that halves pairing?
Well, I'll tell you what he brings. He brings a kicking game, especially a long kicking game. It was funny. Guru tells this story a lot on his podcast, but when he had Jamie Soward on, Guru asked him, who's got the best kicking game in the game currently at the moment? And, we were expecting an answer of Renault or Cleary or one of these guys. He said Tanner Boyd because of the way that he hits the ball, which blew everyone off the park. So, I think that, if you're getting a rap from a player like Jamie Soward, whose kicking game was outstanding in the game as well, especially in the era he played, it goes a long way. And, just watching him as well, hasn't had too much of a run in the trials, but just watching little bits and pieces of him at the Titans, he's definitely got the skill set. But I just think, with Metcalf, he's the 7 in this team, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like you'd get very similar vibes from the Sharkies last year with a Metcalf and Boyd combo, because I just feel like both of those guys would demand the ball and it'd get a bit out of place. So I think that your best bet is to start with Tamari Martin at 6, just as a bit of a runner. I think that he can play that role well, especially from what I saw from him at fullback the other week, against Melbourne, last week. I think that he can handle that spot well. It will be interesting to see how they do that spot, but I'd probably go with Martin and Metcalf.
Do you think that potentially the Warriors, if they did start with Metcalf and Boyd at number 6, potentially, it could work like a Ben Hunt, Kyle Flanagan situation where the number 6 is more of a, I'll organise the right side and you just do what you want. Like the roles are clear. Just in my eyes, I feel like it's going to work a lot more that way. Metcalf being the dominant half. What are your thoughts on that?
I just don't think that Tanner Boyd's the guy to sort of sit back.
Yeah. He's also had quite a few opportunities.
As I said,
I just don't like any of their halves combos completely.
They need an out 6.
Yeah.
If they were to sign Dylan Brown, that'd be perfect.
100%.
Because that halves pairing with him and Metcalf would just be off its head.
I agree.
But yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see how they work. And I think that the best guy that would be able to sit back and let Metcalf do his thing is Martin at the end of the day. In that side, maybe a Chanel Tavita because he played well on the weekend too.
Yep.
But I think that Martin will probably get the first crack. I'll tell you what, though, I didn't mind what I saw from him at fullback on the weekend against Melbourne.
Tamari Martin.
Yeah. He started at fullback and Tuapiki started at 6.
What?
Yeah.
That's weird.
It is, but he did look good in those shapes. He looked like he was a lot more comfortable at fullback too, because he does run quite a bit, Martin. So he did look real comfortable at fullback, roaming both sides of the ruck and having a bit of a say. So if he could play that sort of role at 6, I think that could be good. And I think that could help Metcalf, who's obviously learning the 7 too.
I think if that's the way they're going to play, then Chance is probably the perfect fullback for that, because he can definitely stick to what he knows on the right side. And then you've got Tamari Martin doing that sweeping play on the left side. So I think that works well. How do you think they're going to go with no AFB, no Tohu, no SJ? Obviously, we've talked about the halves, but I think losing AFB and Tohu is the big killer here, and why I think they're going to miss the top 8.
So I think you're right. I think that Fish and Barnett will grow into a great front row pairing, and they'll probably be the better front row pairing by the end of the year. I still think, though, that they're in a lot of trouble just losing Tohu and the impact, not just through the middle, but presence and culturally in that Warriors team. Like he's been there for a little while now, since 2017, 2016, leaving Melbourne after the premiership. So yeah, I think the 2016 was the first year he was there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I am wrong, but anyway, he's been there for a little bit. But
who's this? James Fish-Harris?
Yeah, no. This is Tohu.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tohu. Like, since leaving Melbourne.
So he played Melbourne 2017.
Yes, and then
I think he was
2018.
there 18, 19.
Yeah.
He's played pretty sure 147 games for both clubs.
Yeah,
like the exact same
there you
amount
go.
of games.
There you go. You got me there. But yeah, look, I think that like Tohu's been there for such a long time. He's built a real cultural presence. You think of the Warriors, you think of Tohu Harris, you think of SJ. And to lose both of those guys in one foul swoop, and then to lose AFB, who is the main driver through the middle, it's going to have a little bit of an impact. Not just, through the middle and on the field, but off the field culturally, the fans. They're losing all of these guys. When you think about the Warriors, you think about these sort of operators. And to lose all three of those dudes in one foul swoop, I think that SJ is probably, and this is going to sound insane, but SJ is probably going to be the one that is replaced the easiest, because Metcalf has come in and he's done such a good job already. And I feel like Metcalf, by the end of his career, if he stays at the Warriors, he'll have that SJ sort of legacy. They play very similar games.
Yeah.
Like Metcalf reminds me so much of SJ early on.
Yep.
So I think that he'll have a similar sort of legacy there if he stays there for the rest of his career. But the Tohu one, just as a leader through the side, and just culturally, I think is probably the biggest loss out of them all. I think AFB gets replaced by Fish. So yeah, Tohu for me is the big one.
AFB and Barnett are such a good pairing, though. Like, I feel like their forward pack is still very good, especially if these second rows kick on. They've got Capewell there for experience. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. I think just because they've lost so much, it feels like they should drop. Yeah. But maybe they just come back this year. Obviously, they didn't make the 8 last year, and their roster is probably weaker than it was last year, especially with no SJ. But yeah, I'm not sure.
You know what? Like I said, Tohu's the biggest loss, but like I think that they were probably going to move in the direction of a Walker or an Aaron Clark.
Yep.
Regardless, because I think that suits their style.
He was just every game the minutes were lowering every single
but like
week.
It's not even that, like just the style of play that they were sort of aiming for, and especially when you've got Metcalf at 7, you want to play a fast game of footy similar to Parramatta. They play a very fast running game style of play. So I think that they were going in that direction anyway, and Tohu was going to sort of go into the middle rotation. I think that this is sort of rip the Band-Aid off real fast, maybe a little bit earlier than what they wanted to. But I think it gives them such a great opportunity to try out a new shaped Warriors.
All right, we need to power through these.
Let's do it. Sorry, bro. I talk a lot, eh?
Yeah, so the Titans, the halves combo. Reports are that Campbell and Brimson are going to be the halves. They've got Foran and Gordon who can potentially play there as well. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is the question for every single side, but I feel like their best halves pairing, it's Foran and it's Campbell. I don't know, understand why you have Foran in the side and you don't start him at number 7.
Yes. However, I think that like the Titans are in a bit of a rebuild sort of area. Not a full rebuild, but in regards to their spine, certainly in a rebuild. The future of Verrills is unclear. The halves pairing's unclear. The fullback's unclear. Even though Kinney killed it, I still feel like if he comes out in the first 5 or 6 games and maybe doesn't impress, which is super unlikely, there's still a chance that AJ could hop back there for sure. So I think that it's a real interesting time for the Warriors. You've got Gordon down here as well, mate. That's going to be a fucking headache and a half to try and fit him into the side.
Fuck, especially if he lives up to what the reports are.
Yeah.
Like, apparently he's killing it. Do you put him at centre?
I'd have him in jersey 17 to come off the bench at either a roaming lock capacity or an edge back row capacity, and try to take a bit of pressure off Fafita. I probably wouldn't play Fafita for 80 minutes.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Because I feel like last year, it wasn't that so much that he was being overworked, but it was sort of almost an over-reliance. He was getting the ball when he didn't want the ball, and it sort of hurt his footy a little bit. I feel like just lowering his minutes maybe by 20 and just getting Gordon on to sort of play a bit of a ball-playing sweeping role, but then to sort of defend in that edge-back row corridor. Especially the lines you could run off a Brimo or a JC, I think could be really handy.
I don't know. I just feel like their roster management's been awful with Gordon coming in. Like, well, they didn't need to sign Gordon. Like, It's ridiculous. It's a good problem to have, but at the same time, I just feel like they need to choose something and go with it. I don't think Fafita playing any less minutes really affects them at all.
Yeah.
I think he's a great player. And I think towards the end of the season, he fell off because of Jaden Campbell. Like, Jaden Campbell wasn't giving him that clean ball that Kieran Foran was.
Well, funny you say that because he actually played on the right side in the trials yesterday.
Oh, he did?
He played right back row next to Foz.
There you go.
So that will be definitely something to watch out for. He scored his try running a line off the right side off a kick. So
there you go.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
So
Fermor on the left.
So they've fixed that. I like that because Fermor was had his breakout season alongside Foran on the left.
Yeah.
And that's when Fafita was on the right. And then Foran played halfback and then went to the left alongside Fafita. And it's just Fafita's best footy has been alongside Foran. But I think Jaden Campbell just has completely killed Fafita's running game.
I wouldn't say that. I just feel like he's learning a new position still, JC. I think that he's still learning that 5'8" role.
He's definitely the 5'8" though, hey?
Yeah, I think that he is. Mate, to be honest, like I like Fafita on the right side if he is next to Foz. But I feel like that, as I said, if you're looking towards the future, I think that, and this has been pretty hectic. I've had mixed reception, but I think that AJ could be the next Jerome Hughes, moving into the halves and playing halfback. Which, yeah, I've read a real mixed bag of opinions there, but I feel like he's just got a lot of boxes ticked, especially defensively. Maybe not over the weekend against the Broncos, because the Broncos were just on fire. A few of his inside men let him down, but I feel like he could definitely, like, if he works on his ball playing and long kicking game, but anyway, JC handles that regardless. He's got that 7 jersey in the bag for me.
Did he play right side as well, Brimson?
He actually played on the left because he was playing 6 and Foz was playing 7.
Campbell was out, right?
Yeah, Campbell was in the
But I guess if Brimson's on the left, does that mean potentially Campbell's on the right, following Fafita as well? So
yeah.
I think Brimson makes sense on the left because he's a left footer.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting to see.
I think it doesn't matter.
I think it does.
I think like sides of the field. For me, the number on your back and the side of the field you play, like you can be a left side back, left side half back. It doesn't really concern me too much. But I think that JC was good at 6 last year. I feel like he plays better as a 6 playing off his halfback. I think that at the end of the day, Foz is the best 7 at the club. But I feel like JC could be a great 7 if you want to take that time and have a little bit of a rebuild phase and get him ready to play that position long term.
We've got some questions on the TikTok live.
Lovely.
We're starting this new thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was out drinking with a pretty big TikToker in Blake last night, and he was saying, you got to just chuck on the TikTok live when you record these. So I've just put it on, and we have got some questions live already.
Oh, fantastic.
But thoughts on the Sharks and thoughts on the Cowboys. So we've already done the Sharks and Cowboys preview, so you can go back on past episodes and check that out. So we've got a lot of teams to go through today. But if you
more to list.
if you've got any questions about the Titans, Manly, Dragons, or Penrith, then go for it. Who else have we got? Warriors. Do you reckon the Bears will get it? Come on, we're getting some questions. Danny and Blake are they're on. I just talking about them. They're on the live at the moment.
Fantastic, boys.
Defense, Titans defense. They need to sort that out before the season start, don't they?
It's so bad. That game against the Broncos was disgusting defensively. They really let that Titans jersey down. Yes, they didn't have their full side out there, but yeah, there was real bad. Especially when AJ is such a good defender. He got let down so many times by his inside man. He was real bad. So they've definitely got to work on their defense, the Titans, if they want to be a top side. I think it was a big part as to why they fell out of games late over the past few years. So definitely something to work on if they want to be a top side. I just feel like there's so many question marks around the Titans now, and especially after the game against the Broncos, where they're a bottom 4 side for me. I think that they probably won't be anywhere near the 8. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've got high hopes for them. I just think Dez has got something up his sleeve. Obviously, in the trial yesterday, they were pretty disappointing. But look at the last few years. The winners of the preseason challenge have gone on to miss the 8.
Yeah.
Like trials, they're just trying to figure out their combos. Fafita played on the right. Maybe that's just something they're experimenting with. I feel like Dez has got something up his sleeve, and the forward pack there is so good. It's one of the best forward packs in the comp.
It is. I just feel like when your halves pairing isn't confirmed and there's so many question marks about how this side is going to be run, and defensively, like you bring that up, you bring that into it, I think they're a bottom 4 side for me.
We got some questions here. How do you think Manly will go? Well, they're next.
Okay.
Reese M. He thinks the Titans back rowers and forwards will roll teams, which I agree with, but they've definitely got to lead into that.
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll be interesting to see this back row, obviously, what sides of the field they do play on. If Fafita is a right back rower, that's going to be interesting. The line that he ran for that try the other day was unreal. But in regards to the rest of the pack, like Regan Campbell-Gillard, he's still got some good years ahead of him. In that Titans pack, a bit more of a mobile pack. Chrissy Randall at 13, I thought played okay. They've got a real good pack. I think they're gonna really hurt some teams. Jolliffe, Mo Foda-Wake as an Origin front rower. You know, they've got a heaps good pack up there on the Gold Coast, and great place to live as well, by the way. So yeah, I like the Titans pairing. The middle and how they're going to be run. But I do think though that the rest of the side is still a concern, and that will hurt them a bit.
Yeah, I actually think that their outside backs, they need to change that up a bit. Potentially, because I feel like the defense in the outside backs have always leaked points. Yeah. Brian Kelly's so good, so is Philip Sammy, but like they've stuck with them for years and it just hasn't worked out. Potentially Carter Gordon, starting at centre.
Let us know on the TikTok live, guys. Who's your Titans backline while we break it down here on the pod?
Yeah, who do you think? Hulkmain says I think the Titans the best winger in the comp.
Titans the best winger in the comp.
The Titans is the best winger in the comp, he says.
Okay.
Is that Cam Piero or just the Titans in general are the best winger in the comp? All right, Manly. Obviously, actually, the Titans, I've got 9th to 10th.
9th to 10th? I think they're bottom 4. I cannot
you reckon?
see them. Yeah, look, I had them a bit higher in my initial ladder, but I was just like, this conversation is like, too many question marks around them, to be honest.
Yep. Manly. Got them 4th.
Yes, I've got them 3rd. I think that they are in for a huge season. I think that they are a smoky to win the comp. I think that with the side that they've got this year, I think that, Turbo, if he stays on the field or for all the games as well and plays some good footy, whether that be at fullback or centre. I know that you're not happy with the centre shout, but I think that just having him in the side and the morale that he gets around the boys, and particularly you got forward pack assessment here. I'm keen to get into this forward pack because there's a few changes I think will be made that'll be really interesting to chat about too for this pack. So super exciting. Oh fuck! Post charity match, post hangover fucking trip as well is not the go. Hey Tim, nice to meet you, brother. What's doing? Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Oh my god,
mate! I tell you what, I'm keen to watch that game back. That was grouse.
Yeah, it was good.
Were you at the day?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, bro. I was fucking creeping around the fence trying to follow this bloke around,
Yeah.
moving around from side to side.
Oh, perfect, bro. Perfect.
We should put it on the big screen.
Yeah, mate. You know what I want to get on the big screen? I want to get this fucking trip on camera. I was spewing that song on camera. That would have been
it wasn't either.
good BTS. Surely, did you boys in the live see that? Live still going?
Yeah, it is. Someone's saying, join my head-to-head. Bat My Sav is the name, 392-361. You can add me because I'm an expert now. So
Sweet.
So you can just add me to your league. I don't need to join. Do that. And I'll
Bit of an expert, this guy. Watch out.
All right, let's get back into it, Manly. Where were we? Your forward pack?
Yeah, so we were sort of just trying to get into the forward pack, mate. I'm really enjoying how this forward pack is going to look. I'm excited for it. I think that there'll be a few changes that I'm expecting to happen. I'm not sure if they will happen. But, look, Croker is going to hinder it at the start of the year because he's obviously out. Lockie Croker there at 9. But, yeah, like I think that there's going to be a few changes here, Sav, that I think that not many people will expect.
What do you
throw you some examples?
Yeah.
Let's get into it, mate. I've got Tavanga at 13. I'd have him at 13, and I'd have Jakey moving into the front row. He's just too bruised and battered at this stage. I feel like he needs to just move into that front row rotation, play half an hour to 35 minutes each game, and take a bit of pressure off him.
You know what? Unlike the Carrigan swapping to front row and lock, I feel like this one makes a lot more sense. Because Tavanga's just naturally, he's got short hands. He's kind of like a Dylan Walker type player that can come to Manly. And Jake Drabojevic just turned into someone who is very meat and potatoes. And I think just simplifies role, play him at front row. His defense, you've got that solid front row, which Manly haven't had. They've got Paseka as the main guy potentially, but he's been in and out quite a bit.
You see his trial the other day. Did his AC?
Yeah. Apparently good news though.
Yeah.
Injury wise.
It's still something you sort of carry around for the full year, even if it is a low grade.
It's still bad.
Still something you're carrying around for the full season.
To be fair, he hasn't really impressed me recently. I think he's the big dog in the side, but he needs a big season, and that's just a really bad setback for Manly.
He's sort of that guy though. Like you look at Paseka, he's an absolute unit. I went to go watch Manly against the Roosters with my old man because my old man's a Roosters supporter, and we're sort of looking at Paseka on the sideline. He's an absolute unit, right? He could just like step over the gate if he wanted to between the field and the grandstand. Like he's an absolute unit, but I feel like he just doesn't know it. It's not that he doesn't know it, but like he doesn't like play like he knows it, if that makes sense.
Do you reckon he's bigger than Brad Tuckerangi?
Look, to be honest, Brad Tuckerangi's a big operator. That hit the other day was insane. We didn't even talk about the hit.
Oh, we didn't talk about the hit. That's gone viral online.
I know. Bruh, that flew off. The afternoon, it was like 8,000 likes yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, it was over 10,000 the last time I checked. But there was a lot of NRL players commenting on it saying sad.
Yeah, I
know. Blake Austin said he ran off the field because he didn't want to be accessory to murder. Another person was like, run shit lines and get shit hits or something like that. I don't know. But there was some golden comments in there. Manly, what do their outside backs look like?
I think that Kula might be unlucky here. I think that he might miss out.
I was actually saying this to someone last night. I think he hasn't really kicked on. He's a very good defensive centre, but if they can get similar out of the centre that goes there and Tommy Talau, then...
I think there's too much of a gap between his ceiling and floor. Like his ceiling is Origin, his floor is New South Wales Cup. Like, there's a huge gap there between his ceiling and his floor, which I don't think is a good thing for a player. Like, you'd want to have your ceiling and your floor being quite close between like a 5 and a 7 out of 10.
Yep.
I think that Kula, he's played some pretty average footy. Like, at the back end of last year, that game against the Dogs was outstanding. That late try was great, but I just feel like...
That's the only thing he's done in a couple of years, to be honest.
I feel like it's the one sort of rose in a petal full of rotten flowers.
But it's funny, when that happened and Lehigh had a shocker, it was kind of like, okay, Cooler's the experienced guy. We kind of need to go forward with him. But I think they've got to go forward
I think Tommy Talau's played too well.
He's played very good. What are your thoughts on him coming off the bench playing back row? I heard some chat about... We were speaking with some lads about that yesterday.
He's a big body. He could handle it. Look, it's definitely a possibility, but is that a spot on your bench you want to give up? Because you've got an absolute stacked packet mainly. Is that a spot you want to give up for a Tommy Talau?
Well, I think so, especially if you've got a Tavanga in the side that can cover hooker. You don't really need that bench utility. You've got Ben Trebojevic who can shift to the centres if need be.
Yeah.
Or Tommy Talau can do that as well. But you've got a lot of cover everywhere.
You do. Like, it's not bad. I don't mind it. Like, they were talking about it on Blake the other day as well as an option. I don't mind it, eh? Like, it's okay, but it depends on how you structure your side, how your bench looks. Tavanga's my 13, so it does make sense to have that hooker coverage there as well. It'll be interesting to see what they do there. Losing Lawton, I think, is going to be massive for them, for the Manly.
I think Tavanga's very similar, but Lawton's just a bit more explosive, which they will miss. And Lawton really filled in on the edge very well.
He did. He can fill in a number of spots too, whereas I feel like you couldn't really throw... Tommy Talau through the middle too if you needed a bit more like pace through the middle. I feel like he'd get worked out in the middle, whereas I think on the edge he'd handle himself a little bit better. But Lawton handles himself everywhere. Like he can go middle, he can go edge, he can go hooker. You know what I mean?
They're very similar to the Broncos where their back row depth is just going to be a bit tested this year potentially. So you've got them third, I've got them fourth. And I think they're going to have a good season. And obviously the Tommy Turbo effect, if he is injured, they probably don't reach them heights, but I think they can still make
what
the
are
eight.
What are your thoughts on Lehigh just before we skip on? What's happening with Lehigh? Do you reckon he's a winger?
Yeah, he's got to play wing, I reckon.
I don't know. I mean,
you love him at fullback, don't you?
I do. I love him at fullback. He carved.
You're just a
up
Tommy
Manly.
Turbo hater, bro.
I'm not. I love him at centre. I love him in that roaming role, and Lehigh killed it in the trials. Like, I'm sure they're screaming their tits off in the...
Nah, there's none. There's one saying, do you reckon Manly will beat the Cowboys in round 1?
Yes. Convincingly.
I think so too. It's going to be 100-0.
Well, I don't know about that. That's a sav comment there. It's out there.
All right, Penrith. We've got Timmy sitting over here for Penrith, and he's going to be very interested about this chat. Can they get the 5, Pete? That's the question.
Yes, they can. They can definitely do it. I mean,
Will they?
We've doubted them for so long, like saying that they'll miss out, and then they lose these guys. We think they're going to miss out. They end up doing it. I think this year's a little bit different, just because obviously you've lost a lot more importance. Like, Critter's definitely an important game breaker in that side. They lost him. They've lost Kickout, who's a game breaker as well. But to lose Fish through the middle, and then to lose Luai, a guy who balanced with Cleary so well in the halves, I think that is the most significant loss that they've had, and how they bounce back from that is going to be really interesting. They definitely can win a comp. I just don't have them as my favourites anymore.
I just think this is more dependent on how long Cleary is in the side for the year. So if he has a significant injury throughout the year, I think they probably can't win a comp if they don't make the top 4, which I don't think they will if Cleary's out for a significant amount of time.
If Cleary's out for more than 10 weeks, I think they miss the 8.
The 8?
Yeah. If Cleary,
what is the Penrith support to say about that?
If Cleary is out for more than 10 weeks with a shoulder injury or whatever, I just don't think, there's a lot more reliance on Cleary this year.
There is.
A lot more. Yeah, I know Yowie can do a job ball playing through the middle, and the 7s that they got can do a great job, and without Cleary they did well, but Luai was there too.
But also, Luai had a really good 3-game stretch last year.
Yeah.
Edwards was the one who took over and really shined in that side. And I think if they've got someone who can plug and play, you've got Isaiah Yeo at lock who's pulling the strings anyway. He's pretty much playing halfback.
Yeah.
You've got Dylan Edwards just icing everything. I think that they won't miss the 8. There's much worse sides than them in the comp, and that don't know what they are.
If Cleary's out for a short term, I think that they're sweet. But I think if he's out for longer than 10 weeks, I think that you're really starting to get into some dangerous areas. Like Luai, I think we're underestimating here how much of an impact Luai had when Cleary was out. Like he was.
Luai was immense last year. Luai was so good, but
he was crazy. He was carving up for the Penrith Panthers at 7 there, both sides of the ruck, involved in every single of their opportunities. Edwards was great, obviously there as well, and I agree with you there. He was a big part to their success as well. So was Yo, but Luai evens things out for Cleary so much. And to then not have a guy like Luai to come in and be that 7 and to be that guy that can even it out with the next guy, and to have Talangi there, who we don't even know how he's going to go there at 6, that for me is a concern, especially after watching Talangi for Samoa. Like if he was to be left on his own and to have you have a Brad Schneider or someone else coming in there, Jack Cole, that's when I sort of get a bit worried about them. But look, we're talking about them without Cleary. With Cleary, they can win the comp. Dead set. But without Cleary for more than 10 weeks, I'm a bit worried.
I think we're going to have to put a wager on that next week, potentially.
Done. If Cleary's out for more than 10 weeks and they make the 8, I don't know what the wager's going to be. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But
the Kafusi haircut.
Oh, okay. Sweet. Done. Done.
Who partners Cleary in the halves? Who's the best partner?
It's got to be Talangi to start, but if Talangi doesn't kick on, I really like Cole.
I love Cole. I think Cole is such a good player. But I can't fit Talangi in the outside backs. I think Casey McLean comes in.
And Jesse too. If there's injury, Jesse's unreal. Played really good in that All-Stars game for the Maldives when he was on. So, and plus he's filled in really well when he's come in for the Panthers as well. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting, if Talangi doesn't kick on at 6, what happens?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he will. I think he's going to be a superstar. I think potentially they're just persisting with it, even if it doesn't work out pretty early. Just as long as his defense is good, I think he'll be right. He'll be right. He was a superstar last year for Parramatta, and he completely changed the look of their attack. And they were talking about Gutho leaving for this guy. Yeah. And obviously everything happened with Parramatta.
Talangi, I think, has put on about 5 or 6 kilos since leaving Para. And I think he's also been he's been staying back at training, working on his D as well, which is really good to hear. So we'll have to wait and see with the Penny Panthers and who their halves pairing is going to be. Talangi, you got to start with him because he was the big signing coming over. He's that really explosive running 6. But the thing I'm more so worried about, not so much as to how Talangi plays in form, but how much more responsibility Cleary has on his shoulders, running that side, having to go both sides of the ruck, playing as a 6 and a 7 sort of thing, and then letting Talangi sort of run that ball running sort of role. That for me is going to be interesting to see how Cleary handles a little bit more pressure.
We got a question from Made for Dis.
What a name.
Penrith versus Sharks, round 1. Who wins?
Penrith will win if Cleary's playing.
Come on, you can't just say you Cleary.
Nah, Penrith will win. Penrith will win. Sharkies were real concerning in that trial, so I think that Penrith will win.
Yeah. Okay. And where do they finish for the year? And don't give me a if Cleary is in. Fourth?
Yeah.
Fourth. Okay.
Give me fourth.
So who's first and second for you?
First for me is Melbourne. I think that Melbourne will get minor premiers again.
So first and then Sharks and then...
I had Sharks at second. I've got them there.
Oh, so you've changed them after a trial.
No. So I've got Sharks as second, right? But I think that, the trials has me a bit worried about them.
Yep.
Let's go next one, brothers.
All right.
Who you got?
The Dragons.
Woo, the Dragons.
Nah, we're skipping the Dragons. We'll do them next week.
All right, done.
All right. So I want you to do some blind rankings. And these blind rankings are... I'm going to give you 5 players, and you've got a blind rank where you think they are going to be in the tally of try scorers. So say I give you a player and they've scored 200 tries. You've probably got to put them at number 1. Say Ken Irvine would be number 1, and your lowest would be the person
So I'm
with the least
guessing as to who scored the most. And
so you don't know what's going to come next.
Yeah, okay, cool. Easy.
All right, so blind ranking these people's tries. I'm not going to tell you how many tries they've scored. I'm just going to say the player. And you've got to put them where you think they rank in this blind list.
Okay, fuck, here we go. It's going to test my rugby league knowledge here.
Clint Gutherson.
4.
4. Tommy Turbo.
2.
Kalen Ponga.
3.
Scott Drinkwater.
Oh, these are fucking stuff. 5.
And then Alex Johnston.
Yeah, 1.
Yeah, so Alex Johnson is obviously 1. Number 2 is actually Turbo at 105 tries.
Yep.
Number 3 is Gutho with 100 tries, but you put him at number 4. Ponga is number 4 at 54 tries. You put him at number 3.
Yep.
And Drinky is number 5 with 43 tries.
I did do well there. You got to give
You
me,
did all right.
You
I
gotta
was
come
like,
as just like,
every time you said a number, I was like, oh, that's a bit off. But looking back at it, it's pretty good. All right, cool.
all over it, brother.
All right, looks like we're done.
We're done. See you next week.
All right, see you next week. And next week is the week before Vegas.
It is too. Keen, bro. Keen. I'm
Yeah.
not going to Vegas, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am.
Screens. Who do you think's going to blow the
No,
horn?
I'm not.
Who do you think's blowing the horn?
What do you mean?
The Raiders horn.
Oh, Donald Trump.
You reckon?
No, I don't know. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest.
Yeah, they do it. They did it. They blew a horn last year,
Oh,
didn't they?
Suggested on SEN the Hawk Tour girl.
oh no, she got cancelled. Do you reckon you should spit on it before she does it? All right, I think that's enough before it gets
Too
R-rated. All right, see you later, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Say, boys.